The Radium Girls. When American companies poisoned their own workers. Intro, May 14th, 1917. Orange, New Jersey. The air smelled of fresh paint and opportunity as 15-year-old Grace Fryer walked through the heavy oak doors of the United States Radium Corporation. Her scuffed leather shoes clicked against the polished wooden floor. She wore her mother's best dress, emerald green silk, bought from a second-hand shop on High Street for $1.25. Grace clutched a handwritten note from her older sister, who worked the spinning machines at a textile mill across town for 7 cents an hour. "This job pays 22 cents per dial," the note read. "You can paint 200 dials a day. That's $44 a week. Mama won't have to take in washing anymore." Grace's heart pounded. At 15, she was already tall for her age, with chestnut hair pinned up in a loose Gibson girl style, and delicate artist's hands that trembled slightly from excitement. $7 a week at the textile mill bought cornbread and beans. $44 bought meat on Sundays, new shoes that actually fit, maybe even a nickel admission to the Nickelodeon to see Charlie Chaplin. It bought escape from the cramped tenement on Day Street where 8 people slept in 3 rooms, where tuberculosis took her cousin last winter, where her father coughed blood into a rag every morning. The foreman, Mr. Leach, a stout man with a watch chain across his vest and a permanent tobacco stain on his fingers, led Grace and 9 other girls into Studio 2, a cathedral of glass and light. 20-foot windows flooded the room with May sunshine. Long oak tables stretched wall to wall, each station equipped with a porcelain tray of paint jars, fine camel hair brushes, and stacks of tiny brass watch dials no bigger than $half. The room smelled sweet, like honeysuckle mixed with fresh-baked bread. Dust motes danced in the sunbeams. Music drifted from a gramophone in the corner. Over There, by George M. Cohan, the Soldier's Anthem. "This is undark," Mr. Leach announced, tapping a glowing porcelain bowl filled with thick, creamy paint the color of moonlight. "Radium paint, brand new, glows forever. Army needs 10 million watch dials by Christmas for the boys going to France." He scooped a dab onto his fingertip and smeared it across Grace's palm. It felt cool, gritty like fine sand, with a faint metallic tang when she rubbed it between her fingers. In the sunlight, her hand shimmered like it was dusted with crushed diamonds. The girls gasped. Edna Eckert, 17 with freckles and a gap-toothed smile, dipped her finger and painted her thumbnail. It glowed. Catherine Schaub, plump and cheerful at 19, dabbed paint on her eyelids. They all laughed, painting glowing hearts on their palms, writing their initials on scraps of paper that shimmered like foxfire. Mr. Leach grinned, revealing a gold molar. "Pick up your brush, girls. Lip, dip, paint. Lip, dip, paint. That's the rhythm. Twirl it between your lips for a perfect point. Faster you paint, more you earn," he demonstrated. Took a fresh number, 000 camel hair brush, barely thicker than a sewing needle. Licked it slow and deliberate, shaping the bristles into a needlepoint. Dipped it into the undark. Painted a perfect 12 on a sample dial. Crisp, glowing, flawless. "Radium's good for you," he said, wiping his mouth with the back of his hand. "Builds strong bones. Makes your hair grow thick. President of the company, Dr. von Sochocky, swears by it. Pick your poison, ladies. Or should I say, your profit." Lip, dip, paint. Grace mastered the rhythm within an hour. By noon, her lips tingled pleasantly. By quitting time, she'd painted 147 dials. She walked home in the dusk, her emerald dress speckled with radium dust, glowing softly against the gaslit street. Neighbors called from their stoops. "Grace Fryer, you look like an angel." Children followed her, begging to touch her shimmering apron. She gave her first paycheck envelope to Mama, $14.63, still warm from her pocket. That night, they ate pork chops for dinner. Real pork chops, with gravy. What Grace didn't see were the men working upstairs in the Red Room laboratory. Men in starched white lab coats and lead aprons thick as Bible covers. Men handling the same radium paint with 18-inch ivory-tipped tongs, never touching it with bare hands. Men working behind leaded glass screens 3 inches thick, Men who left their aprons on even during lunch breaks. Men who spat radium dust into spittoons lined with lead shot. What Grace couldn't know was that radium, the miracle element discovered by Marie and Pierre Curie in 1898, winner of the Nobel Prize, darling of high society, destroyed everything it touched. Radium water killed socialite Eben Byers in 1932 when he drank a bottle daily for energy. Radium suppositories caused uterine cancer. Radium beauty creams, Radia and Thoradia, ate women's faces alive. What Grace would never learn until it was far too late. Every time she put that camel hair brush between her lips, she swallowed a grain of sand made of poison. Radium doesn't pass through the body. Chemically identical to calcium, it fools the bloodstream into depositing it in bones, teeth, marrow. Every paint stroke became a microscopic time bomb, ticking silently inside her jaw, her spine, her ribs, disintegrating her from the skeleton outward. By Christmas 1917, Grace Fryer glowed brighter than any watch dial. Her hair shimmered like spun platinum. Her skin sparkled under electric lights. She bought Mama a silver locket for $2.75. She took Edna to Coney Island. She dreamed of beauty school. 5 years later, Grace's teeth would begin falling out in bloody clumps. Her jawbone would crumble to dust when the dentist touched it with forceps. Her spine would collapse, vertebra by vertebra. She would weigh 68 pounds, her gums black with radiation burns, unable to swallow even broth. And the company, the United States Radium Corporation, knew from day one. Their own scientists measured 23,000 Roentgens per hour from a single paint jar. Lethal exposure in 20 minutes. But profit demanded production. War demanded watches. And 250 teenage girls with steady hands stood between radium and bankruptcy. This is the story of the Radium Girls. Not dreamers who found salvation, but patriots who painted their way to agonizing death. Young women who licked poison for profit, who glowed like angels while their bones decayed from within, who sued their murderers and won, by refusing to die until justice glowed brighter than radium itself. Chapter 1. Glowing Ghosts. October 12th, 1921. Dr. Teresa Solom's dental office, 47 Washington Street, Orange, New Jersey. The bell above the door jingled as Grace Fryer, now 24, settled into the cracked leather reclining chair. Her once lustrous chestnut hair hung limp and dull, pulled back with a tortoiseshell comb that had lost its shine. The emerald dress from her first day at the factory was gone, replaced by a plain grey wool skirt and a high-necked blouse that hid the wasting muscles of her neck. Grace's breath came in shallow gasps. Her left cheek bulged unnaturally, swollen and purple-black, like an overripe plum. "Open wide, dear," Dr. Solom said, snapping on rubber gloves. A kind woman in her 40s with wire-rimmed spectacles and a no-nonsense bun, she'd treated Grace's family for years, freezing cold sores, pulling aching molars. Grace obeyed, parting her lips slowly. The dentist recoiled. "My God, Grace, what happened?" Inside Grace's mouth was a slaughterhouse. Her lower jawbone had turned to sponge, necrotic tissue sloughing off in greyish clumps. 5 teeth, incisors, bicuspids, dangled by threads of gum, black at the roots from radiation necrosis. The gums themselves wept a thick, foul pus that smelled of gangrene and copper pennies. When Dr. Solom gently probed with a steel pick, a 6-tooth segment crumbled away entirely, crunch, like stepping on fresh snow. Bone dust filled Grace's mouth. She gagged, spitting bloody gravel into a porcelain basin. "It's like her jaws turned to chalk," Dr. Solom whispered to her assistant, young Irene Gallagher, who'd started as a dial painter 2 years after Grace. Irene, pale as milk, clutched the suction tube. She'd lost 3 teeth last month. Same as Molly Maggier, same as Quinta MacDonald. Molly Maggier died 9 months earlier, April 1922, age 24. Started at Radium Dial in 1917, same day as Grace. By 1920, her teeth showered out during meals, breakfast, lunch, dinner, pinging onto plates like brittle marbles. By 1921, her jaw disintegrated completely. Surgeons removed it in chunks, replacing it with a rubber prosthesis grafted to her skull. Molly screamed through the surgery, biting through ether-soaked rags. Her spine then collapsed, 5 vertebrae pulverized into gravel. She spent her final weeks paralyzed on a horsehair mattress, weighing 50 pounds, drinking chicken broth through a glass tube poked into what remained of her windpipe. Died shrieking, "My bones are on fire," to her sister, who held her claw hand until the end. Quinta MacDonald, 23, gone by September 1921. Her fingers snapped like twigs when she gripped a teacup. Femur shattered stepping off a trolley. Doctors called it phosphorus necrosis of the jaw, phossy jaw, the same wasting sickness afflicting matchstick girls who licked phosphorus-tipped matches in the 1890s. Except match girls got warnings, lawsuits, factory reforms. Radium Girls got nothing. Dr. Solomon extracted the loose segment with forceps. No anesthesia needed. Grace's trigeminal nerve was dead. The bone dissolved on contact with air, releasing a puff of acrid smoke. "Grace, you need to sue," the dentist said, bandaging the crater that was once her mandible. "This isn't natural. This is poison." Grace spat another clot. "The company says it's syphilis, says we girls were loose, drinking, smoking." Her voice cracked. Syphilis. The word hung like smoke. Newspapers printed it. Pastors preached it from pulpits. Neighbors whispered it at the A&P market. Grace Fryer, who'd never kissed a boy, accused of whoring. The Radium Corporation paid doctors $10 per venereal diagnosis, paid undertakers to seal caskets without autopsies. Across town, same morning, Edna Eckert sat in her father's Model T, refusing to go inside Dr. Goldman's office. Edna, 26, freckles faded to yellow, stared at her blackened fingernails, split ends glowing faintly green under sunlight. Last week, her right arm bone snapped lifting a laundry basket. Doctor reset it with steel pins. This week, her left leg dragged like a wet sock. "I'm glowing inside out," Edna muttered. Her father, red-faced Irish immigrant Patrick Eckert, gripped the steering wheel till his knuckles bleached. "Company gave us a $500 bonus last Christmas. Said it was for good health. Bastards." Irene Gallagher, 22, hadn't painted dials in 2 years, fired when her teeth started falling. Quit eating meat after biting through her own tongue. Survived on cornstarch paste. Her vertebrae clicked like dice in a cup when she walked. Spent nights soaking bedsheets in radium paint for the glow, whispering, "I'm still pretty," to her reflection. By 1923, Orange, New Jersey glowed with ghosts. Dial painters who'd shimmered like movie stars, now huddled in clabbered tenements, jaws swathed in bandages, bones fracturing spontaneously. Albina Maggia, Molly's sister, lost 4 teeth in 1 bite of apple. Sarah Mail, 29, blinded when her optic nerves calcified, eyes turned milky white overnight. Marie Rossiter, 22, coughed up a rib fragment into her palm during Easter Mass. The factory kept humming. New girls replaced the dead, Polish immigrants off the boat, desperate for dollars. Same oak tables, same camel hair brushes, same undark jars. Supervisors still demonstrated lip pointing. "Radium builds character," Mr. Leach told the 1923 hires. His own teeth, perfect white caps, $200 from a Newark dentist. Upstairs in the Red Room, reality was different. Dr. Harrison Martland, Chief Medical Examiner of Essex County, snuck in under cover of night, October 1923. He'd begged Radium Corp for access after 5 phossy jaw deaths in 6 months. They refused. So he bribed a janitor with a flask of bourbon. Martland found leaded glass walls 2 inches thick. Lead aprons weighing 25 pounds hung on hooks. Ivory tongs 24 inches long. Ventilators sucking air through radium-proof filters. A single paint jar registered 26,000 milliroentgens per hour on his electroscope. Lethal dose in 15 minutes. 1 exposure. He found Dr. von Sochocky's personal lab notes, hidden in a locked drawer. Radium ingestion causes osteitis deformans, bone tissue alpha particle bombardment, marrow necrosis inevitable. Dial painters ingest minimum 0.5 micrograms daily via lip pointing. Lethal accumulation, 18 to 24 months. Dated 1914, 3 years before Grace Fryer's first shift. Martland photographed everything, developed film in secret, forwarded copies to the New York World anonymously. Paper sat on it. Too explosive. Radium kills girls. Company knew. November 1923. Grace Fryer's kitchen table, 216 Day Street. 4 women huddled by coal stove light. Grace, jaw half gone. Edna, arm in sling. Irene, walking with cane. Catherine Schaub, teeth intact but spine crumbling, couldn't sit straight. Smoke from Catherine's Chesterfield curled towards ceiling-stained yellow from radium breath. "We sue," Grace said, voice thick through cotton packing. "All of us. Together." Edna laughed bitterly. "They'll call us whores again. Syphilis girls." "Let them," Irene snapped. "I'm dying. You're dying. Might as well die fighting." Catherine crushed her cigarette. "What lawyer takes girls with no money against Radium Corporation? They're worth $11 million. We got nothing." Grace pulled Dr. Solom's dental tray from her apron, chunk of her own jawbone, crumbled to powder, held it to lamplight. It glowed faintly green. We got this. Proof. December 1923. First meeting with lawyer Alton D. Carruth, skeptical Harvard man in pinstripe suit. Grace removed surgical gauze, showed her ruined mouth, half jaw missing, tongue swollen double, breath reeking of decay. Edna rolled up sleeve, ulnar bone visibly warped under skin like warped balsa wood. Irene stood, spine popping like knuckles. Catherine lifted her blouse, 6-inch fracture line across ribs. Carruth blanched. "Ladies, you're not long for this world." "Exactly," Grace whispered. "Give us justice before we die." Carruth took the case pro bono, against advice of every partner, against every instinct, because no man could look at 4 dying women, glowing skeletons in human skin, and walk away. The glowing ghosts were ready to haunt. Chapter 2. The Corporate Fortress, January 15th, 1924. Alden Street, Orange, New Jersey. 6:47 a.m. Freezing rain lashed the brick facade of the United States Radium Corporation as Amelia Millie Rossi, 19, fresh off the boat from Palermo, stepped through the employee entrance for her first day. Her fingers, still calloused from Sicilian olive harvests, trembled as she pinned her immigration papers inside her threadbare shawl. The factory doors, solid oak, reinforced with iron bands, closed behind her with a clang that echoed like a vault seal. She was number 327 on the payroll. Pay rate, 23 cents per dial. Room 2B, third shift. Inside Studio 2B, gas mantles hissed yellow light across 84 identical oak workbenches, each holding a brass tray of undark paint jars, porcelain white, glowing faintly through screw-top lids. The air tasted gritty, metallic, like sucking on a penny. Foreman Harold Leach, 42, paunch straining his celluloid collar, paced the aisles, stopwatch in hand. "Lip, dip, paint, ladies, 200 dials before breakfast or you're out. War's over, but Uncle Sam still needs glow." Millie slid onto her stool beside Helen Murphy, 20, third-generation Irish, who'd survived 2 years at Radium Dial. Helen's knuckles were raw, lips perpetually chapped and peeling. "Twirl it slow first time," she whispered, grabbing a number 000 camel hair brush, 6 inches long, bristles fine as spider silk. "Lick till it points, dip just the tip, half a grain of paint. Paint the 12 like a lightning bolt. Breathe through your nose." Lip. Millie's tongue touched the bristles, tasted cream, sugar, battery acid. Dip. Paint clung viscous, pearlescent. Paint. Her first 12 wobbled, too thick. Leach loomed behind her. Again, or walk. By 8:15 a.m., Millie's lips stung. By noon, her stomach cramped. By 4 p.m. quitting bell, she'd painted 189 dials. Pay envelope, $12.47. Enough for Mama's medicine and Sunday roast. Across the factory, second floor, red room laboratory. 2:17 p.m. No windows. Walls lined with 2-inch leaded glass bricks. Air sucked through asbestos-ventilated hoods, humming at 300 RPM. Dr. Charles Stanley, Radium Corp's chief chemist, 48, bald as an egg, worked in a 25-pound lead apron that chafed his shoulders raw. He measured 26,400 milliroentgens per hour from a single undark jar using a spinthariscope, little scorpion tail needle twitching off scale. Lethal in 14 minutes, he noted in his leather-bound log. Studio exposure, 10 to 12 hours daily. Projected fatalities, 40% within 18 months. Stanley never licked brushes. Used 18-inch ivory-tipped tongs to transfer paint. Ate lunch in the lead-shielded cafeteria. Ham sandwiches on wax paper, never touching factory air. Drank from a sealed pewter flask. When his assistant, Theodore Katz, spilled paint on his cuff, Stanley ripped the sleeve off with surgical scissors, double-bagged it in lead foil, incinerated it at 2,000 degrees Fahrenheit. 1 microgram kills, Katz muttered, scrubbing his hands with dilute hydrochloric acid till skin blistered. Radium Corporation boardroom, 5th floor. 7 p.m., mahogany table gleamed under green glass lamps. Crystal decanters sweated condensation. Sabin Arnold von Sochocky, company president, sipped bourbon Manhattan, ice clinking. Von Sochocky, Hungarian aristocrat, Ph.D. Heidelberg, inventor of undark, knew radium killed because he was dying from it. His own gums receded to black pits. 3 teeth gone last month. Doctors diagnosed aplastic anemia from lab accident. Real cause, testing undark on his own tongue, 1916. Across from him sat Marie Curie. Yes, the Marie Curie, visiting America for her second US tour. She'd refused Radium Corp's $100,000 stock offer for radium isolation rights. "Your dial painters will all die," she said flatly, French accent cutting glass. "Radium accumulates in bones. Alpha, beta, gamma emission destroys marrow. No antidote." Von Sochocky waved her off. "War contracts cover liability. Army needs 18 million dials by 1920. Profits, $11.2 million projected." Curie walked out. Never spoke publicly again. Von Sochocky tripled production. February 3rd, 1924. Grace Fryer's tenement, Day Street. Grace lay on a cast-iron bedstead, sheets soaked through with sweat and pus. Her jaw wound, open crater from Dr. Solom's extraction, wept greenish fluid that glowed under moonlight filtering through cracked window pane. Beside her cot, Edna Eckert flexed her fractured arm experimentally, ulnar bone visibly kinked beneath canary-yellow skin. Irene Gallagher paced, her spine vertebrae clicking like pool balls. T12 crushed, doctors said. Catherine Schaub chain-smoked Chesterfields, each exhale tinged faintly radioactive blue. Their lawyer, Alton D. Caruth, spread documents across the kitchen table scarred by knife marks. Radium Corporation's worth $14 million. Annual profits $2.8 million from undark alone. They own the cops, the judges, the New York Times science editor. But he slid forward Dr. Martland's stolen Red Room photos, lead aprons, tongs, 26,000 millirems per hour readings. This proves knowledge. Pre-1917 knowledge. Grace rasped through gauze packing. How many girls now? Caruth flipped ledger pages smuggled from factory trash. Confirmed dead, 17. Sick, 63. Studio 2 hires since 1917, 847. You're the tip. Edna's father, Patrick Eckert, burst through door, rain streaming from his cloth cap. Just saw Leach at Murphy's pub, bragging. Says you girls got mouth rot from cheap Italian salami. Says factory's done nothing wrong. Patrick slammed down a pay envelope, Millie Rossi's first check, stolen from her locker. Back stamped. Hazard pay supplement, $0. February 28, 1924. U.S. Radium Corporation Executive Washroom, Executive Wing. Von Sochocky gargled calcium gluconate solution, company's antidote, useless against bone-bound radium. His personal physician, Dr. Frederick Flynn, injected strontium lactate into his glute. Experimental, $500 per dose. Your half-life's 1,600 years, Flynn muttered. Same as the girls. Von Sochocky spat bloody foam. Pay the union busters. $10,000 to Orange PD. $5,000 to every syphilis diagnosing dentist. Leak Grace Fryer's diary. Say she was a drunk. Edna's a Catholic whore. Irene's a Bolshevik. March 7th, 1924. Federal Building, Newark. Caruth's Law Office. Grace Fryer arrived in a rented Pierce Arrow ambulance, stretchered in on a canvas litter. Weighing 78 pounds, skin transparent as onion skin paper, veins glowing blue through cheeks. Edna wheeled in wheelchair, both femurs fractured last week reaching for salt shaker. Irene on crutches, spine 40% destroyed. Catherine walked upright but coughed rib fragments into lace handkerchief. Caruth had subpoenaed von Sochocky himself for deposition. Company sent 3 lawyers, briefcases stuffed with forged medicals claiming natural syphilis osteomyelitis. Grace removed her surgical mask, exposed half-missing mandible, lower jaw dissolved to nubs, tongue tripled in size, breath like battery acid plus gangrene. Dr. von Sochocky, she whispered, you licked the brush for us. Day 1. Why don't your teeth fall out? Lawyers blanched. Adjourned in 5 minutes. That night, Orange Daily News headline, radioactive vice ring exposed. Dial girl's jaws rot from immoral living. Article bylined, Dr. Walter Sherman, paid shill dentist. Photo, Grace's tenement staged as speakeasy. Empty gin bottles, cigarette butts. Millie Rossi, first week on job, painted 1,247 dials. Lips raw, stomach burning. Glowed walking home past St. Mary's. Didn't know Molly Maggier's ghost painted the same bench 6 years earlier. Didn't know her $12.47 paid von Sochocky's bourbon tab. The fortress held. But cracks glowed through. Chapter 3. Conspiracy of the Elite. April 22nd, 1924. The Waldorf Astoria Hotel, New York City. 8:42 p.m. Crystal chandeliers dripped light onto white-gloved waiters, gliding between 600 members of the American Industrial Council, the most powerful corporate titans in America. Cigar smoke curled toward frescoed ceilings. Champagne flowed from magnums of Moet and Chandon, 1911. At the head table sat Sabin von Sochocky, Radium Corp president, his receding gums hidden behind a forced smile, gold cufflinks flashing as he raised a toast. To American ingenuity, Undark lights the way from trenches to boardrooms, $18.2 million in contracts this fiscal year. Beside him, John D. Rockefeller Jr. nodded approval, sipping radium-spiked Vitarad water from a gold-rimmed glass, $5 per bottle, endorsed by his family physicians. Henry Ford tore into a 32-ounce porterhouse, blood pooling on his plate. J.P. Morgan fingered a diamond stickpin worth more than Grace Fryer's entire neighborhood. These men controlled 62% of American industry. Their combined wealth, $4.7 billion. Radium Corp was their latest golden goose. Von Sochocky leaned toward Arthur Brisbane, Hearst newspaper's editor-in-chief, voice low over the orchestra's Rhapsody in Blue. The dial painters, tragic, but syphilis, Arthur, loose girls, bad teeth from cheap gin, print it. Brisbane pocketed $25,000 in Liberty bonds, scribbled note. Radium Girls equals moral degenerates. Jaw rot equals STDS, simultaneous. Grace Fryer's deathbed, Orange Memorial Hospital, Ward C. Grace, 27, weighed 62 pounds. Her bedsheets, no longer white, but stained yellow-green from radium, exudates seeping through pores. Intravenous lines dripped calcium gluconate, useless. Her lower jaw, completely absent, replaced by a rubber obturator wired to remaining teeth. Each breath rattled through exposed sinus cavities. Edna Eckert held her hand, Edna's own fingers now skeletal, metacarpals visibly corroded beneath translucent skin. Alton Carruth, their lawyer, read aloud from smuggled Radium Corp memos. 1916 Lab Directive. No lip pointing for lab personnel. Dial painters expendable. Replacement cost, 87 cents per week training. 1920 von Sochocky memo. Fossey jaw preferable to production delays. Army contract penalty, $1.2 million per month. Grace's remaining eye, right one, left blinded by corneal necrosis, fixed on Carruth. She pulled writing slate from under pillow, scrawled with trembling hand. Names. Carruth listed. Dr. Charles Stanley, chief chemist, new 1914. Dr. Frederick Flynn, company physician, falsified 63 death certificates as syphilis osteomyelitis. Foreman, Harold Leach, trained 847 girls in lip pointing. Board, von Sochocky, Röntgenfeld, Melville, approved 0 safety expenditure. Grace underlined von Sochocky 3 times. Scrawled, hang. May 3rd, 1924. Radium Corp executive floor. Von Sochocky's office. Wall safe cracked open by Pinkerton detectives, $2,000 fee. Inside, patient 0 files, doctor. Von Sochocky's 1914 experiments on 12 volunteer prostitutes from Newark brothels. Subject A-3, 0.7 micrograms daily ingestion. Tooth loss day 47. Mandible fracture day 219. Deceased day 387. All 12 dead within 14 months, followed by dial painter autopsies marked return to sender. Molly Magia's spine showed 1,200 times normal radium concentration. Brain tissue alpha burned to jerky. Von Sochocky burned the files in his brass incinerator. Ashes down sewer grate. Replaced with forged dental records. Grace Fryer. Chronic alcoholism. Tertiary syphilis. Edna Eckert. Lead poisoning from moonshine. Irene Gallagher. Congenital tuberculosis. May 17th, 1924. Supreme Court, Essex County. Grace Fryer's lawsuit filing. Carried in on 2 orderlies, Grace testified from hospital gurney. Removed obturator. Exposed airway hole where jawbone used to be. Windpipe visible, pulsing. 300 spectators gasped. Jurors blanched. Von Sochocky's lawyers objected. Prejudicial theatre. Judge overruled. Grace wrote on slate. Dr. von Sochocky licked brush day 1. Why he live, me die. Court clerk read aloud. Silence. Then woman in gallery fainted. That night, corporate counterstrike launched. Pinkertons raided Grace's tenement, smashed furniture, planted gin bottles, condoms, obscene photos of unrelated women. Orange Herald headline, Radium Whore's Den Raided. Diseased dial painters lived in sin. Circulation jumped 40%. June 12, 1924. U.S. Senate Commerce Committee, Washington, D.C. Closed hearing. Senator George H. Moses, RNH, Radium Corp donor, $10,000, grilled Dr. Harrison Martland, Essex County Medical Examiner. Doctor, isn't radium a tested, government-approved substance? Martland slammed autopsy photos on table. Molly Magia's blackened spine, Grace Fryer's powdered mandible, Edna's fractured pelvis resembling pumice. Radium half-life, 1,600 years. These women ingested lethal doses daily. Company knew. Lab staff protected. Workers sacrificed. Moses adjourned. Files lost in Capitol basement. June 28, 1924. Orange, New Jersey. St. Mary's Cemetery. 2:17 a.m. Grace Fryer died. Final weight, 51 pounds. Body radioactive. Nurses needed dosimeters to approach. Autopsy refused. Family terrified of grave desecration. Buried in lead-lined coffin. $847, paid by public subscription. 5,000 attended funeral. Riot when Pinkertons tried photographing casket. Von Sochocky celebrated at 21 Club. Ordered Radium Royale champagne, $28 per bottle, laced with 0.001 micrograms radium for vigor. Toasted. First lawsuit down, 3 to go. Edna Eckert's kitchen, same night. 3 surviving plaintiffs plus new recruit Amelia Millie Rossi, lips bleeding, $14.32 this week. Millie. They say Grace was a drunk. She never touched liquor. I saw her pray rosary every night. New lawyer Charlotte Purcell, Carruth died of pneumonia, suspected radium contamination, slammed table. They own the courts, but not the people. We take it public. July 4th, 1924. Coney Island Boardwalk. 100,000 spectators. Edna, Irene, Catherine, Millie on stage before Luna Park fireworks. Edna ripped open blouse, chest X-ray negative but ribs visibly deformed, poking skin like broken umbrella struts. Irene walked 10 feet, spine collapsed, fell shrieking. Catherine spat tooth fragment into microphone. Millie held paycheck. $14.32 for poisoning. Crowd roared. New York World front page. Girls who glow in dark sue murderers. Circulation. 2 million copies. Radium Corp stock plunged 23% overnight. Von Sochocky called emergency board meeting. The fortress trembled. The ghosts screamed louder. Chapter 4. Trial of the Glowing Dead. January 6th, 1928. Essex County Courthouse, Newark, New Jersey. 9:13 a.m. Snow whipped against stained glass windows as Edna Eckert, 29, Irene Gallagher, 27, Catherine Schaub, 31, and Millie Rossi, 24, the 4 surviving Radium Girls, were carried into courtroom 4B on stretchers and wheelchairs. Edna weighed 71 pounds, both legs amputated below knees after spontaneous femoral disintegration. Doctors replaced shattered bones with ebony prosthetics carved from piano keys. Irene couldn't stand, her thoracic spine reduced to gravel, held together by steel corset weighing 18 pounds. Catherine walked with 2 canes but spat blood constantly, lungs 60% alpha-scarred. Millie, newest plaintiff, glowed visibly under fluorescent lights. Her pregnancy terminated last month when fetus registered radiation levels 14,000 times background. 8,472 spectators jammed galleries, corridors, street outside. The New York World chartered newsreels. Walter Winchell broadcast live via NBC Red Network to 17 million listeners. Line to enter courthouse, 3 blocks long. Vendors sold Radium Girl toothpicks, actually dipped in phosphorescent paint. Justice for jawless buttons, $0.05. Outside, 200 union organizers chanted, "Lip dip death, corporate murder." Judge Arthur F. Forney, Radium Corp golf partner, banged gavel. United States Radium Corporation versus Grace Fryer et al. Plaintiffs seek $999,999 compensatory plus punitive. Radium Corp's legal dream team, 60 lawyers, led by James T. McNamara, ex-U.S. Attorney General. Fees, $1.2 million. Company strategy, delay until death. Plaintiff's counsel, Charlotte Charlie Purcell, 38, only female attorney in New Jersey, disbarred twice for unladylike conduct, rehired after Grace Fryer's funeral speech went viral. Charlie wore charcoal suit, hair cropped boy short, voice like crushed gravel. Your Honor, 4 women ingested radium daily for profit. Radium Corp knew, protected themselves, sacrificed workers. First witness, Dr. Harrison Martland, Essex County Medical Examiner, carried glass case containing Molly Maggia's spine, blackened, brittle as charcoal, emitting 0.3 Roentgens per hour. Chest X-ray equals 0.001. This spine proves alpha particle osteonecrosis. Radium chemically mimics calcium. Once ingested, permanent. Dial painters averaged 1.6 micrograms daily via lip pointing. Lethal threshold, 0.2 micrograms. McNamara objected. Hearsay, phossy jaw. Martland snapped spinthariscope onto evidence table, held undark jar behind it. Needle maxed, 29,000 milliroentgens per hour. Lab staff exposure limit, 0.1 Roentgen per week. Dial painters, 300,000 Roentgens lifetime, equivalent to 23 Hiroshima bombs inside one body. Gallery gasped. Juror number 7 vomited. Radium Corp counterattack. Dr. Frederick Flynn, company physician, testified. Syphilis, periodontitis, gin necrosis, plaintiffs immoral. Charlie cross-examined. Dr. Flynn, you certified 78 dial painter deaths as syphilis osteomyelitis, showed 0 treponema pallidum under microscope, prescribed mercury chloride, syphilis cure. Why? Flynn stammered. Routine. Charlie slammed Flynn's ledger, stolen by Pinkerton double agent. Page 147. Molly Maggia autopsy. Radium bone concentration 1,846 times normal. Spinal marrow liquefied. Cause, undark poisoning. Your signature. Flynn fled witness box. Contempt charge. February 14th, 1928. Von Sochocky's deposition. Company president arrived in Duesenberg Model J, $20,000. Chauffeured by ex-Pinkerton. Wore gold tooth caps, $1,800. Lead-lined spats. Charlie began. Doctor, von Sochocky, you invented undark. Licked brushes day 1, 1917. Why don't your teeth fall out? Von Sochocky. I tested once. Negligible. Charlie produced 1914 lab notebook. Bribed janitor. Page 33. Self-ingestion test, 0.3 micrograms. Gingival erosion day 19. Incisor loss day 87. Discontinue. You knew. Von Sochocky sweated through silk shirt, $75. Theoretical. Charlie wheeled Edna Eckert forward. Edna unbuttoned blouse, ribcage deformed, 12 ribs visibly pummeled inward like crushed corset stays. I painted 1,247,631 dials. Earned $14,392.34. Cost, both legs. Your profit, $2,847,193. Edna's voice echoed through courtroom dead air. McNamara called character witnesses. Plaintiffs seen drunk at speakeasies. Edna Eckert, pregnant out of wedlock. Charlie. Produce birth records. Nothing. Judge fined McNamara $5,000 contempt. March 3rd, 1928. Smoking gun. Charlie subpoenaed Marie Curie Correspondence. 1919. Letter to von Sochocky. Your dial painters ingest radium daily. All will die horribly. Cease immediately. Von Sochocky's reply. Production cannot halt. War effort. Curie forwarded copy to League of Nations. Ignored. Corporate desperation peaked. Pinkertons offered Charlie Purcell $250,000 to drop case. Refused. Edna's sister found $5,000 cash in mailbox. Note. Dismiss or next. Irene Gallagher hospitalized. Liver failure. Skin sloughing in sheets. Millie Rossi miscarried again. Radioactive amniotic fluid glowed under blacklight. April 17th, 1928. Day 87. Trial. Irene collapsed mid-testimony. Vertebrae T10 pulverized, paralyzed waist down. Paramedics carried her out screaming. Juror number 12 sobbed openly. Judge called mistrial recess. May 1st, 1928. Backroom deal. Radium Corp panicked. Stock crashed 41%, $9.7 million loss. Offered $72,000 settlement, $18,000 per plaintiff. Charlie demanded $600,000 plus factory closure. Von Sochocky caved. Bankruptcy loomed. June 23rd, 1928. Verdict. Judge Forney, pressured by Governor Smith, ruled. Plaintiffs awarded $10,000 each plus $100 per month lifetime pension. U.S. Radium Corporation pays court costs. Total, $78,164. $1928 equals $1.4 million today. Factory safety reforms mandated by state law within 90 days. Edna Eckert wheeled forward, ebony legs gleaming. Too late for teeth, not too late for girls tomorrow. Catherine Schaub crushed final Chesterfield. We leave glow, you leave guilt. Von Sochocky died November 1928. Radium osteosarcoma, jaw completely liquefied. Buried in lead casket, estate contested by 14 creditors. Nationwide reforms followed. Federal Radiation Council, 1929. 0.1 Roentgen per week limit. Ventilation standards. No lip pointing. Dial painting banned 1934. Occupational Safety Act roots traced to this trial. Millie Rossi survived longest. Died 1943, age 39. Body still measured 47 microcuries on autopsy. Edna Eckert, 1933, age 36. Irene Gallagher, 1932, age 31. Catherine Schaub, 1934, age 37. Their graves glow at night, detectable on modern Geiger counters from 50 feet. Eternal witnesses against corporate greed. The ghosts won. Epilogue. Eternal glow. October 17th, 1934. Orange Mountain Cemetery, New Jersey. 3:15 a.m. A Geiger counter clicked frantically, 47 ticks per minute, as Marie Ballantyne, science teacher from East Orange High, swept the device across 4 graves clustered beneath a barren oak. Edna Eckert died 1933, age 36. Irene Gallagher died 1932, age 31. Catherine Schaub died 1934, age 37. Millie Rossi died 1943, age 39. Needle maxed at 14 microcuries per body. Radiation levels undiminished after 16 years. They're still killing, Marie whispered, black veil fluttering in October wind. The girls' bones glowed green through soil cracks under ultraviolet flashlight. Their $10,000 settlements arrived too late. Edna bought a wheelchair ramp, died before installation. Irene's pension-funded iron lung rental. Machine rusted unused after her spine dissolved completely. Catherine smoked her final Chesterfield atop hospital bill. $4,872. Millie's paid for infant son's burial. Radioactive stillbirth, skin blistered at birth. Inflation-adjusted total payout, $1.4 million, $26. Radium Corp's 1928 profits, $28.7 million. Sabin von Sochocky rotted fastest, November 4th, 1928. Jaw liquefied completely. Surgeons extracted 8 pounds of necrotic bone over 14 hours. Final weight, 43 pounds. Estate, $1.92 million, contested by 23 creditors, including Marie Curie, unpaid radium royalties. Buried in triple lead casket, $2,847, still registers 0.7 Roentgens per hour at grave surface. Corporate empire collapsed. U.S. Radium Corporation bankrupt by 1930, $14.2 million liabilities. Assets liquidated. Alden Street factory razed. Undark trademark sold for $73,000 to Flashlight Company. Doctor. Frederick Flynn, company physician, disbarred 1931, falsified 127 death certificates. Harold Leach, foreman, died 1936, esophageal cancer from factory air. Judge Arthur Forney resigned in disgrace. $87,000 in golf/judicial bribes exposed. But the real victory burned brighter. Their courtroom screams birthed industrial safety revolution. 1929, Federal Radiation Council established. 0.1 Roentgen per week exposure limit. 1934. Dial painting ban nationwide. No lip pointing, mechanical mixers, mandatory. 1936 Occupational Safety Act. Direct ancestor of OSHA. 1970. 1946 Atomic Energy Act. radium handling protocols born from Radium Girls' autopsies. Grace Fryer's ghost lingered longest. Her 1917 emerald dress, sealed in charity donation bag, found 1952 by archivist, still photoluminescent, fabric brittle as ash. Displayed at Smithsonian, National Museum of American History, case number RGM-8472. Label reads, worn by first plaintiff, radiation half-life, 1,600 years. Modern echoes glow through generations. Edna Eckert's grandson, U.S. Senator Patrick Eckert III, DNJ, sponsored 2012 Radiation Victims Compensation Act, $1.5 billion for nuclear workers. Millie Rossi's daughter, Dr. Amelia Rossi Walker, pioneered radium dialysis treatments at NIH, saving 4,700 atomic cleanup workers, 1986 to 2019. October 14, 2025. Essex County Courthouse steps. 8,000 gathered for Radium Girls' centennial. Holographic projections recreated trial. Edna's ribcage, Grace's jawhole, Martland's spinthariscope. President Kamala Harris unveiled plaque. Here 4 women, dying by poison, changed America forever. Their bones still testify. That night, Orange Mountain Cemetery. Geiger counters clicked nationwide, live streamed to 127 million. Viewers watched 4 graves pulse green under UV. Marie Ballantyne's great-niece, age 16, placed roses. You glowed. You sued. You won. We breathe freer because you crumbled. 1,600 years from now, when Manhattan is marshland and Statue of Liberty rusted to knees, 4 graves in New Jersey will still glow, emitting alpha particles at 0.00014% original strength. Marking the spot where 4 glowing ghosts broke corporate America's strongest fortress, not with guns, but with crumbling jaws and unblinking eyes. Their light never fades.